What is going on, everybody? My name is Kneeckoh and welcome to the chat. I'm here with Enter the Chat Gaming today to talk about the remaster, okay, people? The remaster that everybody was like upset about. Oh, it's a full cost game, it's a full $60, yeah, blah blah blah. Who cares? Okay, we're talking about Skyward Sword today for the Nintendo Switch. If this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you are subbed for more videos from me, Rico, and Toby all the time. Make sure you check out the podcast, but let's talk about this Skyward Sword remaster. So some people are very up in arms about this. It's a full cost game. You don't get the special Joy-Cons with it. Like, you got the special Wiimote back in the day. It's $60 even though this is a Wii game, you know, blah, blah, blah. This game is HD. It looks very nice on the Nintendo Switch. It looks very, very nice. And this was one I pre-ordered like the day they announced it. I pre-ordered it as soon as I knew it was coming out on the Switch. There was no hesitation in my mind. Now, for me, I never played the original. I never played Skyward Sword on the Wii, so I was very much looking forward to playing this particular Zelda game because I had no prior history with it. So really what I want to talk about today is not necessarily, you know, all the fancy, you know, new stuff with the game, but more or less, should you actually buy this game for your Nintendo Switch? Like, is it actually worth the $60 price tag based on what it is? Because it is just a remaster. So we're going to talk about all of that. But, you know, like I said earlier, I do want to briefly talk about the graphics because I said earlier that they are very nice. They look good. Like, it's the same game, but it's just HD and it looks good. It's very unique art style. It's very colorful. I think this game would look freaking awesome on the OLED Switch, but it is just, it's very pretty to look at, and I'm really enjoying it. Now, I'm not super far in the game. I want to say I'm like 4 or 5 hours deep. I finished the first temple already, and I'm really enjoying it. Now, the biggest thing with this game is the motion controls, because that is exclusively how you had to play it on the previous iteration of the game. On the Wii, you had to play it with the motion controls, and from what people said, they weren't great. Okay, now they have changed it going into this particular version of the game, where you can actually just use your Pro Controller. You can use your Pro Controller and just flick your stick to decide which way Link swings the sword. And I've only played this way. I vastly prefer the idea of using a controller to play a Zelda game. However, because I do play it this way, there are some wonky little control options because of the fact that pretty much this game was centered around the idea of you're swinging your sword, and that is how you solve puzzles and do things of that nature. So playing with the controller does make things a little awkward because the right stick, it controls your sword unless you're pressing a certain button. If you hold that button, then it controls the camera. So it's kind of just weird. It's like a mental thing that you gotta kind of work through, that it's like, okay, I need to hold this button if I want to move my camera and then let it go if I want to swing my sword. It's just kind of weird because sometimes I'll be sitting there and I'll hold the button, but I'm trying to swing my sword. I'm like, oh wait, I gotta release. So that alone makes the controls just a little wonky. And then just, I feel like just the age of this game makes some of the controls a little wonky. But once you get past that, once you start playing for a couple hours, you kind of get used to it, and it just becomes a normal thing. And honestly, I think the sword play is a very charming part of this Zelda game. I think that's really, really cool how they use it to solve so many puzzles, whether it be cutting through spider webs, cutting ropes loose for you to swing on, you know, doing all of those different things, you know, swinging it around and striking enemies in a different manner in order to, you know, get past their sword. I think that's all really cool, and I think it's a really unique gimmick that we haven't seen in a lot of other Zelda games, and I think that is what makes this game super cool, on top of just the very unique story that it has. This being like the earliest game in the Zelda timeline, I think it's just a really interesting game that a lot of people really should hop in and play, especially now that it has been remastered. If they haven't played it before, I definitely think they should play it now. Now, how does it run? It runs like a dream, okay? It's 60 frames. It's beautiful. I've played it handheld and docked. It plays great both ways. I think I'm going to play the rest of it handheld just because I like playing certain games handheld. This is one of those games, because I'm not covering it any more in depth on the channel here, I don't really need to get any more footage, so I can just pop it into my Switch Lite and keep playing it there, and I'm really looking forward to that, okay? I'm really looking forward to just playing through this. This is like a 40-hour game from what I've looked up online, and I'm looking forward to every minute of it. Now, the question becomes, should you actually buy it at $60? And that's an interesting question, because honestly, unless you are like a die-hard Zelda fan or a die-hard Nintendo fan and you gotta have all of the latest greatest stuff, if you already have a copy of Skyward Sword on your Wii, I don't really know if you need to play this one on your Switch. Unless you, like, you know, like I said, you're a diehard Zelda fan, you want to have all the Zelda boxes on your shelf, you know, whatever it may be, or you're a diehard Nintendo fan, you want all the Nintendo stuff. Or you really didn't like how it performed on the Wii. If you were fine with the Wii version and you don't care about the Wii version, you know, you think it's good, you'll go back and play it again, don't buy this. Don't buy this game at all. But if you were upset with the Wii version, if you didn't like how it controlled, if you didn't like the motion controls, if you didn't like, you know, this, that, or the other about it, the low frame rate, whatever it may be, the 480p, you know, instead of 1080, you know, then maybe you should upgrade to this. It's all dependent on you as a gamer, really. I think this remaster is very well done. I think it's super fun. I'm really looking forward to playing through this story because, like I said, I myself have never played through it, so I'm really looking forward to it. But if you are someone who's already played through it, you have a good time with the Wii one, you don't really care about, you know, the upgraded features, just stick with your Wii. Just play the Wii version. But, you know, this is a very particular audience that is going to enjoy this more than others. Now, I do think it is for people that have never played this game entirely. Like, there's an entire generation of people that their first console was the Nintendo Switch. That is who I think these remasters are for. And that's something I think people need to think about moving forward, is that they're not trying to resell the old people the old game. Yes, they would love it if you went and bought the old game again. Okay, if you were somebody who had Skyward Sword on the Wii, they are more than happy to sell you another copy of Skyward Sword. However, there are kids that are now playing video games that weren't around when we were playing Skyward Sword originally, and that is the big audience. Okay, I have a little cousin who loves Zelda to death, didn't play Skyward Sword on the Wii, who would be all over this. He's gonna pick up Zelda and be like, yep, this is the way. I'm playing this particular Zelda game now because this was the console it came out on for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are a bunch of people that didn't get to experience it the first time through, and that is what a lot of these remasters are for. That's why they're redoing a lot of the Wii U stuff, because those games, they didn't sell a ton of Wii U, so a lot of people didn't get to play those games. So put them out again on a much more popular system, they're going to make a lot more money, and a lot more people are going to get to experience those really awesome games that they couldn't play on the Wii U. So that's just all my thoughts on it. I definitely think this game is worth picking up if you are interested in it. I think it plays well, it looks great. I think it's a really cool story. It's definitely a great Zelda game. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. Hope you found it entertaining and helpful. Like I said earlier, make sure you're subbed to the channel so you can check out all our gaming content that comes out from me, Rico, and Toby. Check us out on social medias and all that stuff, and then check us out. Make sure you watch the podcast and stuff, because we talk video games every week on there. But that is all I got for you guys, and hope to see you all in the next one. Peace.